Hey guys!
Hey guys!
It's time for another Walking Dead review, this time reviewing The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 4, titled Here's Not Here. If you haven't seen the episode and you want to avoid any spoilers, you're going to want to skip this video and come back later, because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler. So the episode starts off and Morgan is talking to someone, and we're not really privy to who he's talking to at the very beginning.
But we all know who it is.
Yeah.
Because we all had that niggling doubt that he didn't kill him in the last episode, or in the 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago.
And
of course that was verified at the very end. So let's talk about the end first, because it starts with him, talking to this unseen figure to the reveal at the very end. And the guy says, I'm going to have to kill these people, and the children too, just like Eastman's, wife and child.
Yeah, this guy I think is kind of the present day representation of Clayton or the guy who killed Eastman's family. Like, he is the present day version of that. He is an actual sociopath or psychopath.
Dallas Creighton or Dallas Clayton, whatever that guy's name was. Yeah. And he's like the anti-Morgan, really.
Yeah, he is.
And so Morgan's basically holding this guy and keeping this guy in the same way that Eastman was keeping Morgan. Yeah. Thankfully, though, it does look like Morgan locked the door on his way.
Yeah, at least he was smart enough to lock the door. But, Eastman was a forensic psychologist. He could read people.
Yeah.
Morgan's not.
Morgan's so not.
He just has the little bit that Eastman was able to pass on to him in complete solitary, so there's no way he knows anything about how to read people. And I kind of think that might be the point, is that this guy is, Eastman had made a point of saying, I've interviewed 800 men, 800 some men and like 25 women, and I've only met one true psychopath, and that was the one who killed his family. And I think that's who this guy is. Yeah. He is one of the few true psychopaths, and Morgan's not able to see that. He's trying to do the right thing by Eastman by keeping him alive, and it's the wrong call.
The guy sure looks like a psychopath to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he carved a W into his head. That's the first clue.
Yeah.
All right, but the rest of the episode is completely a flashback.
Yeah.
It's a 90-minute episode of all Morgan, and 86 minutes of it is a flashback. And it was an awesome episode. It was really, really good.
It was a brilliant episode.
I'm not so sure that it is a necessarily appropriate follow-up to the last episode, though, with the Glenn scene.
Yeah, no. I actually kind of would have liked this as episode 3, and maybe last episode as episode 4.
I think this episode would have felt a better fit following episode 2. If this had come in at episode 3, because we saw in episode 2 Morgan refuse to kill people.
Yeah, and this would have been a good explanation.
I think this would have been an awesome follow-up to that. Instead, following up episode 3 with the Glenn scene, it just doesn't really feel like it fit. But otherwise, it's an amazing episode. Tons of character development with basically 3 different characters. We had the Wolf, Morgan, and Eastman, and that's it. It's very, sparsely populated as far as characters in this. It worked so well.
And they did some really amazing things with the image itself. Like, Morgan has PTSD, and every time he kind of goes into one of those trances, the edges of the screen got really fuzzy and kind of pointed in towards him, and he was always center frame. And it was a brilliant way to make you kind of feel that he's not really in control. This isn't really him. It was really, really good.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this episode is Eastman, who was played by John Carroll Lynch, and he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed that character died, because that performance was absolutely phenomenal. But Eastman's, his backstory really parallels Morgan's very closely.
Yeah.
And what the great thing is, though, is that Eastman was emotionally prepared to deal with his situation
on his own, without help.
On his own, in a way that Morgan just wasn't. But also we find out that, Eastman's not necessarily a saint because of the the serial killer who he starved to death in the cage.
Yeah. It's like, it was that, like, when they were talking about that, Morgan asked him, "What did you do it?" And he evades the question in a way that I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think he did do it."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he did. And I think it's like that act of starving that guy is kind of the catalyst that made him who he was when Morgan met him.
And it's because of those emotional tools that Eastman has that he was able to come through that basically on his own. He didn't know the world had fallen until he went to turn himself in. So he came through the other side totally solitary.
Yeah.
Whereas Morgan has been on his own and needed help to come through it.
Yeah.
So just the parallel of the two stories, one has the tools to deal with it, and one gives him the tools, gives Morgan the tools.
And Eastman had mentioned, like, after he went to turn himself in, he then, when he realized basically the world's ended and there's nobody to turn into, he goes home to get this piece of drywall, and he loses his car, and he has to walk 30 miles back. And I think it's that walk where he gained himself. Mm-hmm.
Walking through the dead.
Walking through the dead with this picture, knowing what he had just done. I think that is what made him worked through his issues and become who he was. Mm-hmm. Now, he maybe not completely, but I think that was the catalyst, so that walk.
By far my favorite scene in this episode, though, was when Morgan took Eastman back to his camp. The one that's, surrounded by the spikes. Mm-hmm. And Morgan starts having a breakdown, and Eastman's like, "Forms, right now, we're doing it." And he makes him do like a kata. And he puts his hand on his shoulder, and he says, "You're going to hold a baby again." And it turns out to be really prophetic, because we saw in the first episode of the season, Morgan got to hold Judith. Yeah. So Eastman, he's a really amazing character. He's like this almost kind of a shaman with give him the lucky rabbit's foot. He gives him a charm basically. Yeah. And he predicts he's a prophet. And oh God, I love that character.
Yeah, the character was absolutely amazing, even though he brings about this very, very frustrating version of Morgan. And
I think, though, the only reason Morgan is frustrating is because the rest of our characters are the totally different kind of people. So to have this one, have these kind of people over here and this one over here, I think it kind of stands out.
And not only that, like, Eastman has basically not had to deal with anything this whole time. He went to his cabin in the woods, he had the walk through the dead, but I get the impression that he hasn't actually dealt with the people who have survived.
Yeah. He's never dealt with the governor or the wolves or Terminus or anything
like that. He hasn't
had
to deal with any of those because I don't know how you could deal with that and still think that people like that can change and that they're not going to kill you in your sleep. You just can't trust that.
And even Morgan hasn't dealt with threats on the level of the governor or Terminus or the wolves or the wolves, he just did. But he was on his own and dealt with, small groups of bandits.
Yeah.
But large threats, somebody who's going to take a tank to your doorstep, he's never experienced that kind of thing.
And I think had Eastman had been able to go on his travel, his point of view might have changed. All life is precious and he won't kill anybody. I don't know that would have stuck had he been out with some of the people who have survived. Because you get the people who survive because they have to and it's necessary. And then you get the people who survive because they will do anything.
And the climax of that scene is Eastman getting bitten because Morgan sees there's a walker coming toward him and it's the zombified corpse of a character who he killed but did not give mercy to.
Yeah, he choked him, but I see what you did there.
Z Nation reference right there. Yeah. But so that kid comes back, and Morgan, Eastman thinks he froze, and I don't really necessarily think Morgan froze. I think he was hesitant. I don't think he completely froze.
I don't think he froze, and I don't think he was hesitant. I think he was standing there to take his punishment.
You think he was deliberately letting him?
Yeah, he was like, I killed this boy. He should kill me. I think that's what he was doing, because that's why he got so mad at Eastman for saving him.
Yeah.
Like, what business did you have doing that? It wasn't your call to make. He knew what he was doing, I think. I don't think he froze.
And Eastman took the bite.
Yeah. Eastman takes the bite.
Which is super disappointing. I really like that character.
I know. But you kind of knew he was going to die because he doesn't show up at Alexandria with Morgan. So, obviously, they've parted ways, and the only way is if he dies. So, it was like going in, you were like, no, I really like this character, and I know he's going to die.
Okay, so who were you more disappointed about in dying in this episode, though? Eastman or Tabitha?
Oh, I was really disappointed with Tabitha.
Tabitha. That was such a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that was going to happen, too, because Morgan didn't show up with a freaking goat. But still, I was like, it was just this poor innocent animal who dies because she figured out that Eastman doesn't ever lock doors. Ever.
Yeah.
He's thrown away all the keys. They're all in the river.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this review. If we missed anything, if there's something you think we should have talked about, let us know in the comments. Also, if we got something wrong, let us know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, and we certainly hope you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and subscribe for more reviews.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.